So I am Patrick Trischman. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. Uh, we're going to talk about our Alaska Tied to Tongass Science and Arts Academy, and we'll be deep diving into that shortly. This first slide has our logo on it. It was created by a local Juneau artist, Celia Bauer, and I'm having troubles with my slide. There, I got it. And I'm joined today by our ATSA coordinator, Michaela Larson. She's the coordinator this year, and she's very passionate about providing students with an exceptional educational experience. And our former ATSA coordinator, Julia Trischman, she has been working with ATSA for 3 years, and she was there at the beginning of the program and helped make it go from an idea to a reality. I've also been teaching high school courses for ATSA during those last 3 years as well. Who are we? So we're going into our 3rd year of our program, and we're getting ready to accept students for that. We actually closed the application period due to a flood of applicants. As you can see on the slide, we received over 8,000 shares on our Facebook ad and received over 50 applicants in just 2 weeks. So we're not here to advertise our program for recruiting purposes, but we want to let everyone know that there is a real hunger for this sort of wild schooling that we're doing. We've had so many students and their parents or teachers reach out to us saying that they would love to have this opportunity for their child, or that they're just have a real passion for marine biology. With that, I'm going to go ahead and let Julia Trischman tell you a little bit more about our program, and we'll keep switching between speakers throughout the slide. Thank you.
So you might ask, what is the Alaska Tied to Tongass Science and Arts Academy, or ATSA? It's a magnet school within the Southeast Island School District. It's a 9-week program during Q1 of the school year. We recruit 6 to 8 students nationwide with hopes of expanding in the future. Students study wilderness skills, science, culture and history, and artistic expression. Students learn from experts in their fields, including world-renowned marine scientists. Students become scientists in the field through place-based experiential learning.
So where are we? We are in Alaska, specifically in the Alexander Archipelago here in the southeast region. And we are located on the tip of Baranof Island. Baranof Island is an extremely rugged island full of mountain peaks and ice fields. The only other town really to speak of is Sitka, which is a float plane flight away, 45 minutes. This is going to be an overview or a little flyover, so you can see some of our geography and our gorgeous setting. Our town is situated along two sides of this narrow bay. In the summer, we have 50 to 60 people in town, and in the winter, only about 20 to 30. And during the fall, when the ATSA program is running, we have about 40 people, including the ATSA students. It's quite hard to explain our town without seeing it like that, so hopefully you get a better idea. So Port Alexander, Alaska. 45-minute float plane ride on a 3-seat float plane, or 4 to 15-hour boat ride, depending on the type of boat and which direction you go around the island, and also the weather. There's no roads, so there's no cars, just boardwalks. We don't have any restaurants. The only store is a tiny store that you can buy an ice cream bar in on a hot day, and that's about it. We are a fishing-based town. We also have no cell service, but we do have internet, so you can make Wi-Fi calls that way. This is a picture of our mail day. Mail comes in once a week on a freight boat, and we all pitch in carrying the boxes up the beach. It's one of the most exciting days in town. So why in the heck would high schoolers want to come to this place? Besides its obvious beauty, which it never ceases to just bring joy to all of us that live here. Our community is really unique. I would describe it as a conglomeration of self-sufficient and resilient and hardy individuals, but who are also very close-knit as a community. We come together and help each other out all the time, gather together for events, help each other when times are hard, and have lots of celebrations. It's a great town. So a little Thoreau. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach. There's a bit of that going on here, maybe a lot. I feel like we are kind of down to the essentials a lot here, maybe more so than a lot of other places these days. So that's one thing that we have to offer as well. We tend to be pretty practical, and a lot of the people in our town rely, if not heavily, on a subsistence-based lifestyle, at least partially. So one of the essential facts that had to teach one of our ATSA students could be summed up by this that he had to say about his time here. I was finally able to take off the mask that I wear. And I would say it has that effect on a lot of us.
I want to ask, I see that we have a hand raised. Would you prefer that we interrupt for questions, or would you prefer them all at the end?
We have some time at the end set aside for questions. So if we could please wait until the end, then we'll take all questions. Thank you.
That sounds fantastic. And if you have a question during the presentation, feel free to write it in the chat, and that way you won't forget about it by the end. And then at the end, we can go through the chat and ask the questions that have come up.
Perfect.
So our mission and philosophy for our program: Alaska Tides to Tongass Science and Arts Academy seeks to give students from diverse backgrounds hands-on experience in the marine and rainforest ecosystems of Southeast Alaska through the teaching of wilderness skills, science, culture and history, and artistic expression. We believe that with opportunities to take part as a learner and a leader in our unique remote community, students will gain confidence in their ability to adapt to new situations, to benefit their future communities, and to thrive as part of and protect their natural environments. So our program stands on 3 pillars. Our first pillar is service and leadership. Our second is scientific exploration. And our third pillar, arts and cultural inquiry. You're probably wondering, so how does it all work? So students enroll in the Port Alexander School through Southeast Island School District and attend the K-12 Port Alexander School. Once students have completed the full duration of the program, students will transfer back into their school at home. To give you a better understanding of our school, the ATSA students coming to Port Alexander this school year will be our school's only high school students. Many of the things they do, like eating lunch, practicing survival skills, going to community events, volunteering to help the community, are multi-age activities involving and benefiting all of the students in our small school. But there's plenty the high school ATSA students do without the younger kids as well. So when the students are here, you probably are wondering, well, where are they going to stay? So students stay with local host families in Port Alexander. To ensure the safety of students, all host parents must pass a background check. Also, a host family agreement is signed by the host parents and hosted student. This document must be notarized. To keep students engaged and intrigued for the duration of the program, we provide community activities and coordinator-led wilderness outings on the weekend. Also dinner and games at the lodge on Saturday nights.
So where we get to really have fun with wilderness curriculum is an elective course that we've set up that is an 80-hour course. So it's the same, they get credit for a whole semester elective, but it's crammed into 1 quarter. So in order to do that, we spend 80+ hours, an hour and a half Monday through Thursday, and then 3+ hours on Friday in this course. So each week we bring in a different expert to do like a weekly unit on some of the following topics. This is going to be an overview, but then we're going to look deeper at each of these things in a minute. So I'll just run through them for you. We have a cold water safety and survival week taught by AMSI, the Alaska Marine Safety Education Association. We try to do this toward the beginning of our program just to give the kids some basic skills that they might not have learned before. Marine biology. For this, the Sitka Sound Science Center is flying out an expert for us this time who will help us take a deeper look into our intertidal life. Marine Debris Week with the Ocean Conservancy sending out our own Christina Tierman. I feel like I kind of see this as like the Great British Baking Show or something where the different weeks have different themes. And the next week is Forest Ecology Week and the importance of old growth. We're hoping the Forest Service can help us with that week. Creative writing with author Brendan Jones, who has recently published Whispering Alaska that just won the Green Earth Book Award. This is young adult literature. Alaska Fisheries Week. We will hopefully partner with NOAA or the Alaska Department of Fish and Game for this new unit, as well as some of our local fishermen. The Northwest Coast Formline Art with Tlingit artist Will Peterson, and a Wild Botanicals unit with Julia Trischman, who we have here, and her new business, the Tongass Tinctures and Botanicals. And then throughout the program, we will be also foraging wild edibles, berries of various varieties, mushrooms, seaweeds, and intertidal critters. We'll get into that more. But that will be kind of on a rolling basis because of the seasons of those various things. So our first unit we'll go over is water safety and wilderness survival. As you can see, we have a lot of fun. We get the kids to learn about hypothermia and why you wear fleece and wool or synthetic instead of cotton in our climate. We talk about the 7 steps of survival, making signals, and building shelters. You can see our little teddy bear in this mock shelter here. And then afterwards, we go and build our own shelter. We made a really cool one this past session, but somehow we didn't get a picture of it. We have the kids practice various configurations that they would need to use if they found themselves in sort of a cold water situation where their boat had sunk, and we get them in survival suits. And then we get them in the water to practice drills, and this is pretty fun as they're kind of new to the area to see them needing to stretch their comfort zone and try this out. One of the days you can see was pretty sunny, the other was not, but it all went well. And again, they practice configurations like the kind of line you can make when someone is injured and traveling within that line to get someone to safety. So our marine biology unit, we've done dissections of legally kept bycatch. And we also are really excited to have a marine biologist come and help us out with this unit this time. We can do pretty good beach walks here and identify species, but we're really excited to have someone come and teach us more about those species in a really hands-on way. And this is one way that marine biology can meet art. We've used the same bycatch first to do printing and then for dissections. So we're doubling up there. We'll do some other artwork as well with biology, but this is one fun thing that helps the students learn the various species and more about their anatomy as well. So for Marine Debris Week, we spend a couple days talking about the different types of marine debris that are very prevalent now, the threat that is to ecosystems and why, and to various species. We talk about ocean currents, and again, this is through the Ocean Conservancy program. And then Christina, who you can see here featured in this lovely photo, she helped us use this app, the Clean Swell app, to track some of the trash that we found and add it to their log. It's kind of neat to see how much has been picked up from different areas in the world, and to just kind of have a count going and tally of various things. And that can help policymakers and scientists better understand the issue of marine debris. So we've got a unit on rainforest ecology. And I don't have a good old growth picture here on this slide, but we're lucky to have stands of old growth around us, as well as at least we're able to show them the difference to areas that have been cut in the past during the heyday boom years of Port Alexander. A lot of the areas were cleared about 80 to 100 years ago. And so we'll show the students the difference when all of the trees are the same size and have grown up at the same time, and create that overhead canopy that doesn't allow as much light to get to the forest floor and allow all of that understory to grow up. They've done kind of a neat assignment with this in the past, where Julia had them make sketches of 5 species you saw in the old growth, and there were hundreds to choose from just right there. And then when they sat in an area that had been cut and tried to do the same thing, it was hard to even find the 5. So they can really see the difference. This is a big log that I found recently. I'd like to have the kids count the rings on this very giant log. We'll do tacks every 10 or something, just to see. This was obviously cut a long time ago. So a few ways we'll look at forest ecology. And last fall, a highlight of the program for the ATSA students was spending a week with author Brendan Jones, who has taught creative writing at Stanford. He's published articles on Alaska wilderness topics in the New York Times, Patagonia, Smithsonian, and more, and has written 2 novels set in Alaska, including this one we mentioned earlier. In Whispering Alaska, 2 sisters move to Alaska and find a way to, well, first they learn about the magic of old growth forests, and then they find a way to help preserve old growth while also finding a way to help the economy of their town, kind of solving the discord between the 2. Oh, and we're excited that Brendan will also be joining us for the coming ATSA program. Then this is a new unit, our Alaska Fisheries unit. We are planning to do a multi-day stay at either the Port Armstrong Fish Hatchery or the Little Port Walter Research Station, where our ATSA students will be working alongside technicians, learning from them, and also from scientists that may visit Little Port Walter about the life cycle of salmon, how a hatchery works, threats to that industry or to the ecosystem. Oh, and also hoping to have some local fishermen show the kids their vessels. We have trollers here, not seiners. It's not this sort of vessel, but trollers. So they would hopefully get a tour and maybe get to go out for a spin. So then another weekly unit is our Northwest Coast Traditional Art unit. We are looking forward to having artist Will Peterson, Rising Star, join us again Not only do the kids get to practice this art form and gain appreciation for it, but they also were able to hear from him a lot about Tlingit culture, including how the clans and moieties break down. And it was neat because one of our students, who is actually of Apache descent, each of the students were able to make their own design and carve it into a rubber block for some printing. And he was able to make one that was representative of his clan from his Apache heritage. And he found a lot of similarity between the ways that they arrange their clans. It was pretty neat. We're also excited to add a botanicals unit where the students will be foraging these medicinal plants and lichen that we have in our forest. I won't go through them all, but probably king is the Devil's Club with so many medicinal properties, would you say? Mm-hmm. And then they will get to do the process from foraging the plants all the way to having finished medicinal products. It takes months to steep the botanicals, but she's going to have things at the different stages ready for them to do the next step so they can see the whole process, kind of like a fancy cooking show. And then, as I mentioned, the entire time we'll be working in harvesting and preparing of wild foods. A local expert, Myra Davis, the last 2 years, and she said she'll continue to help us out. We'll teach the kids about seaweeds and harvesting gumboots and preparing those. We're excited again to forage mushrooms that grow in our area, and we'll teach the kids about how to safely do that. We have many species of berries, and we'd like to take them this year clam digging. And if we don't have a chance to have the clams tested, we can do kind of a mock of a clam harvest and then put those ones back and share with them some from our freezers that we know are safe. So we really would like to provide place-based integrated history and literature. For our history, we can call it US or world history, but it's through an Alaska lens. And there's so much neat history that just is not usually taught, that actually has affected everything in our world today so much through the story of Alaska. So these are a few of the books that we may use for that curriculum. This one, I'll just go through them in case anyone wants to use them for a class at some point. Astoria talks about the setting up of the trade routes, and they end up over on our side of the world on the northwest coast. And then the trade routes that involve the sea otter fur economy kind of brings us up to Baranof Island and Sitka, where the kids will be flying in and out of. So we'll be able to visit some of the places that they'll read about if we use this book. John Muir's Travels in Alaska. So the first one, we're like 1810s, then late 1800s, we get a look through John Muir visiting native villages up and down Southeast Alaskan shores. And then Voyage in a Dory, 1930s. This 19-year-old kid takes a dory from Sitka to Seattle to get to college. And he sails part of the way, rows, and gets towed, is that a word? All the way to Seattle. But along the way, he describes the canneries and logging camps, and you can see how much was going on at that time. Including the era that Port Alexander, which they'll become familiar with, was booming. And then Gathering Moss by Robin Wall Kimmerer, we're looking at using that as kind of a where science meets culture. She's a great writer. So for history, we're hoping to incorporate some archaeology field trips. This was a big hit the last time around, as we have so many artifacts from that boom time I was talking about. From the 1920s to the 1940s, Port Alexander was known as the salmon capital of the world. And here we had salteries where salmon were packed in salt in barrels and shipped to Europe. And also herring salteries. So there's a lot of remnants of that time, and they can discover the history themselves. It's really fun. And then this is a little picture of our Port Alexander Museum, which just this year gained status as on the National Historic Register of National Historic Places. And there are some repairs needed to our museum, so we're hoping that that can become a really neat service project for the ATSA kids this year. And then Friday, we have field days. So this is 3+ hours spent with our expert that we bring in for the week. We will wrap up our weekly unit, and then we'll also spend time just romping around in the wilderness by kayak, foot, boat, putting into practice all the things that we've been learning about and doing some more exploration. This is the kids featured with author Erin McKittrick, who wrote The Long Trek Home, about her journey from Seattle all the way to the Aleutians on foot with her husband. So the kids read her book, and then they were able to spend a week with her in which they did some hiking, and she told them more about her experiences and did some species identification. Fun stuff like that.
All right, then after the students have been in Port Alexander for 9 weeks and done all this cool weekly unit stuff, they travel back to Sitka and they get to attend the Sitka Well Fest. And for those of you that don't know, the Well Fest is a 3-day symposium to celebrate marine life through science education, community, and storytelling. While there, students get to listen to world-renowned scientists speak about their latest research. So it's a really fun opportunity, and they get to do a lot of cool stuff while they're in town too. Also, during the Ocean Bowl, or during the Sitka Wellfest, students get to participate in an Ocean Bowl competition. The competition is a really fun way for students to get interested in learning more about marine biology and earth sciences. This year, I'm planning to teach a NOAA marine biology curriculum that was created with the Ocean Bowl competition in mind. It has a lot of practice questions built into it. And so I'm hoping the students really enjoy that and that we have some strong teams.
So some more fun experiences that we have planned for our upcoming 2023 ATSA students, just to give you an idea. Our species counts in the intertidal zone and muskeg at various locations, and comparing those, painting Tongass or tidal themed mural as a group on the side of a school storage building that showcases species they have seen and things learned. Hopefully a whale watching cruise, learning sea kayaking safety and skills, practice survival scenarios after training, writing poetry in a stand of old growth forest, doing service for our local community, like I mentioned, possibly repairs to our museum building, historical building, visits in Sitka to the Totem Park Cultural Heritage Site, Raptor Rehabilitation Center, and the Sitka Sound Science Center, kayaking, hiking, swimming, snorkeling, exploring beaches, fishing, and more, and species checklists kept for their entire time in Alaska.
So for all the counselors and registrar folks in the audience, you are probably wondering how courses and credits work with our magnet school. Like most high schools across the nation, our school is run with a 6-period schedule. We offer all core classes and 2 elective courses, but we intertwine and integrate all subjects together throughout the program. As you can see, elective 1 is our ATSA class where students will be issued a 0.5 credit, which is a semester credit, at the end of quarter 1 because we offer 80+ hours of instruction time for this elective. For the rest of these courses, given a 0.25 credit as it would seem for any other transfer student. The elective 2 is an outdoor PE class. We enroll them in a math class that keeps them on track for graduation. For science, we offer marine biology. For history, we offer the course Alaska History, but we intertwine Alaska, US, and world history. For English, we offer Alaska Literature Studies. In addition to the 6-period schedule, students will attend the Sitka Whale Fest with the opportunity to complete dual credit course. This last year, it was called Whale Fest Biology 175. So you're probably wondering, how do we pull it all off? Of course, we wouldn't have this program without our local community supporting us. The community helps through fundraisers, donations, and hundreds of volunteer hours. Our program also wouldn't be here if we didn't get support from our school district. They have helped us financially by giving host parents a stipend to cover the cost of food for the students. They also have supported our program with an ATSA coordinator position and have given us additional paraprofessional hours. Lastly, we charge a small tuition fee of $850 that covers all costs for the program, including travel and food during the duration of the program. Of course, needs-based scholarships are available. ATSA makes a huge impact on students from across the nation. We've had 2 students from the White Mountain Apache tribe in Arizona. We've had a student from Minnesota that had never flown on an airplane before. We had a former 5th grader of mine from Montana. Due to air pollution and city lights, we've also had a student from Chicago, Illinois, who saw the Big Dipper for the first time when living in Port Alexander. As you can see, our program brought together students from all across the nation who are like-minded, academically driven, and ready for adventure. Here are some quotes from our ATSA alumni. ATSA has been an experience that was life-changing and eye-opening. Not only did it bring a random group of 6 teenagers together to form bonds that I hope will last a lifetime, but it also gave us a look at how important our environment is and a list of possible careers and futures none of us really considered until ATSA. Experiencing the natural world has been a perspective change for me. It balanced my mindset and helped me realize how fundamentally wondrous nature can be. Not only did it help me scholarly-wise, but also as an individual. Learning about marine debris and its consequences helped me understand the dangerous effects it can have on the world. At home, I never got to see the stars due to light pollution. Being here at Port Alexander, I saw the Big Dipper in front of me for the first time of my life.
All right, and some of the community benefits that we get are pretty amazing. The students get a lot out of the program, but our community also gets quite a bit of cool stuff. For example, some of the real tangible benefits, we've had students help clear brush and haul it off that's overgrown on the boardwalks. We've had students help rebuild a house of a community member after a fire burned it down. And we've had students participate in a beach cleanup after learning about marine debris. There's some also less visible benefits. For example, every student that comes through our academy will hopefully go on to be stewards of conservation for our rainforest and marine environments. And there's also the benefit from having new students in town. It livens up our tiny town, having more students, and we get to learn more about their culture. So that's a lot of fun.
So achieving our mission, we hope that from the experiences here and curriculum of our program, that they gain the following things, and we think that they do. Appreciation for being part of a close-knit, multi-generational community and seeing how that works. confidence in their skills in the wilderness, and the freedom to explore it safely. Knowledge of and appreciation for the cool organisms that make up this part of the planet. Understanding of how the various facets of ecosystems intertwine and the importance of each, which translates to care for the earth and knowledge of how to protect it. Seeing themselves as a part of the ecosystem and finding their natural role in it, being nourished by the land and giving in return, reciprocity in our stewardship. Feeling how they can physically, intellectually, spiritually, and socially grow in and be nourished by a life immersed in nature and less dependent on at-hand digital tech. Inspiration for future careers and life goals. Motivation to be their best self, think big, treat others well, and know their value. Connection to the past. Thinking about the lives of those who have gone before and the way they shape the present, and finding lessons and courage. Appreciation for Indigenous culture of the area and our local Alaskan culture, letting the values that resonate become a part of them. We would love if you would visit our web page to read more about our program and to see more photos. It's actually, unfortunately, really hard to find from Google. If you just Google our name, it doesn't come up. We're working on that. But here's a QR code you can use to get to our web page. It's only one page because it is part of the Southeast Island School District website. But you can also go to SISD.org, which is that website, or you can just Google the Southeast Island School District and then click on Port Alexander School. We didn't include any pictures of our school in this presentation, so if you want to see what it looks like, you can see it there. And then from the Port Alexander School page, you can click on Menu and then find the Alaska Ties to Tongass Science and Arts Academy page, or just use the QR code. And please follow us on Facebook if you're interested in what we're doing. We'll keep posting updates and you can see and follow along with us, as well as stay in touch for our program in 2024, when we'll be looking for a new cohort of students. And to go to that page, you can type in, because again, it doesn't come up when you search it for some reason, facebook.com/Tides to Tongass /.
Okay, so we wanted to take a moment and acknowledge everyone who has helped make our magnet school a success. So first, Southeast Island School District for supporting our magnet school, Outer Coast for helping guide us from the very beginning, Sherry Becker, Molly Kenzie, Julia and Patrick Trischman for being founders of the program, Laughing Raven Lodge for housing all our guest speakers for free, Kevin Mulligan with Baronautica Air Service LLC for providing safe, reliable transportation to and from Sitka via float plane, Celia Bauer for designing our logo, all our expert speakers for volunteering an entire week to come educate our students, Tongass Tinctures and Botanicals, Sitka Sound Science Center for sending out expert scientists, Ocean Conservancy for sending out our marine debris expert, Christina Tierman, Port Alexander Community for volunteering hundreds of hours to help make this program a success, Michaela Larson, our passionate coordinator who has volunteered her time to make this program an even greater success, and of course, the Northwest Aquatic and Marine educators for giving us the opportunity to present. We would like to open it up for questions now. I want to give you the opportunity to ask questions about our program.
Look in the chat.
Okay, so.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Are you still on, Christina? Okay, good. I'll let you do the first couple questions until you have to go.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll have to go in just a couple minutes. But yeah, thank you guys so much. That was so wonderful to hear about your program. And as someone who's been there, I can picture it and know what it's like, but you guys painted a really great picture. And I think everyone hopefully took a lot away from that. So we do have a question in the chat asking, what qualities do you look for when choosing students? And it might be helpful even in just kind of talking more about, yeah, how do you, with 40 to 50 applicants, how do you narrow it down to the 6 to 8 students that you select?
Great question. So we're just in that process right now as we've closed our application period, but now we'll start our selection process. So first, the criteria we're looking for, we would really love to have students from diverse backgrounds who maybe have not had the chance to immerse themselves in nature, but who also have it as a personal interest that they've demonstrated in some way. It's important to us that the students are academically motivated, though we don't require a 4.0 GPA. We're not even necessarily looking for the highest GPAs, but just some evidence that they will take school seriously. Because when we bring out these experts, we want them to show the utmost respect for what they're trying to teach and to be personally engaged without prodding from us. Their parents will not be here. So I'll just say for the application, we ask that the students fill out the application themselves. They can have help, obviously, but just again, to show their own personal motivation toward applying for the program. We have them answer 3 essay questions. So those will come heavily into play about what their reasonings are for wanting to come and what they think will be challenging for them, what they want to learn about, things like that. We also ask for at least 1 letter of recommendation. So those will come into play as well. And we are giving preference to sophomores and juniors. We invited anyone who's going to be in high school to apply, but we made it known to everyone that sophomores and juniors would have preference. There's a few reasons for that. One, it's a little harder to offer to seniors the courses that they need for graduation. We only have 1 full-time teacher that will be teaching them. So we need to try to have as few classes that we offer as possible. And they can take online courses while we're here, but it's better if they can join in with us. The freshmen are a little young for the program, as we've experienced both of our previous sessions. They're the ones who struggled with homesickness the most. And we think it might just be a little too much to ask them to be away from home for that amount of time and introduced to so many new things all at once, including being a high schooler for the first time ever and around these older kids. It's just a little too much. It just puts it over the top for being anxiety inducing. Is that, oh, okay. And then the one final part of that question is our process of selection. So as the coordinator, my committee has asked me to narrow it down to about 20 people. We'll decide together on the top 12 to 15, probably about 15 applicants that we would like to interview. So we'll ask them a few via Zoom and then narrow it down to our 7 or 8 applicants that we're able to accept this year.
Cool, thank you. That was great information. We have another question in the chat from Kathy, and she says, it's a great program, seems like an excellent deal. And she wants to know, why did you start it and whether you track your alumni after they leave?
Good question. I can start answering it and you guys can fill in what I missed. But we started because Port Alexander is such a unique, tiny town. And to help benefit the town, we met with some community members and some school district staff and just started kind of brainstorming on how we could enrich our community and our school and also provide a good experience, and decided to go with a magnet school. And it just was kind of created by those founding members and thought it would be a great program, and so far it has been. As far as tracking alumni, I know you've reached out a little bit and we're still in touch with some of their families, but maybe you could speak a little bit more on that, Julie.
Yeah, so we do keep in contact with the alumni. When they go back to their home school, the school that they call, attend full time, we worked closely with their counselors when they initially came into the program to make sure that they were enrolled in classes and on track for graduating. And when they arrived back at their school, we have been in contact with them, not too much, but briefly, just to make sure that they integrated in okay, they transferred okay, all their classes were fine, and everything has, worked out for the best of the program and for them. And we actually have one student came back to work at the Laughing Raven Lodge last summer, the first year alumni. So she came back wanting to be in Port Alexander. It changed her life. And then from her perspective. And then we also have another student from last year, and he also wants to come back here to work for one of our locals. So yeah, we do definitely stay in contact with the alumni.
They feel
Cool,
like family.
thanks. I have a couple questions from Jeff, but I'll fire them off individually. Are the math classes typically online or taught in the classroom?
So I'm certified for teaching in Alaska. I'm not highly qualified for math, but I'm capable of teaching everything up to geometry. I probably do algebra too. So I teach a lot of those classes, but our district also has another distant math teacher that we've used in the past that can teach those higher level math classes.
Cool. Does Starlink work in your area? Like a satellite, yeah.
So it depends. Our school has a lot of tall spruce trees around it. And so there's kind of a blockage and we need to find a better place. We have a dish on there as a backup. We're actually not using that internet for this because we'd be getting kicked out every few minutes. We tested that out already. Like at my home, our link, and it works great there. So it works, but depends on where you live.
Cool. Do you utilize Project Wet, Project Wild, or Project Learning Tree?
No. Short answer.
Nope, we'd love to
Short
learn about
answer, no. Okay, and then I'll let Jeff follow up with that if he has any more to add. And then his final question is, have you had parents visit and or volunteer?
Not yet, right?
Right. You want to explain what one of the students that applied asked if there were any volunteer opportunities this year? You want to touch on that?
One of the parents, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we had one applicant this year. I was in contact with the mom, and she asked if there was a chance that the whole family could come and enroll in the school for a while. And I said, heck yes. We're always looking for more people. Anyone want to move here after this presentation? We'd gladly welcome you. So I let her know that the Laughing Raven Lodge that we mentioned, that does house our visiting experts. They, I believe, rent rooms in the off season. They are only for charter fishermen in the summer, or not for the fishermen, for the charter fishing guests. But in the off season, these separate cabin units are available. I think they don't have cooking facilities. We'd have to look into various options for.
The biggest thing the one reason why we, as large as we want to be, is housing is limited here. As you know, our community is very small. Our host families are limited. And so it's not like we have a hotel for people to come to visit. So it's very expensive to come in on float plane or come by boat. And so it's a challenge on its own to come here. So it's probably why we haven't had that interest in the past. Well, we had an interest, but it was too expensive for his family, for his father to come as well. But anyway.
Excellent.
And just
you go ahead.
On the subsidized weekly flights twice a week, in and out, Mondays and Fridays, flights on the float plane only cost $150 per person each way. So that's greatly subsidized from the charter flights, if anyone was interested in the cost.
And is that how you get your students in and out, or do you have to charter a plane for them?
It will be a mixture of both, because we can't fit them all on the one flight.
Yes. Cool. And then we have a question from Lisa that says, what's the time frame for interviews and letting students know if they get accepted?
So our original deadline for the applications was April 30th. but we had decided before we even posted the application that because of the interest that we were seeing, we decided on a cap of the 40 applicants. So with that, we were going to be doing interviews in May, but most likely we'll be completing them throughout April and letting students know most likely by the end of April.
Cool. That's all the questions we have in the chat. I will open it up to anyone who's on. You can either type your question in the chat or raise your hand and unmute yourself, and you can ask our presenters any other questions that you have. And if, oh, another question, which age group seems to do best? And he says maybe 15 to 18, he would guess, is your age range.
We're kind of preferring, I guess 15 to 16 is ideal, or 15 to 17 maybe, because of what I was talking about with the issues with seniors and getting enough credits. And we also feel like keeping the kids in a little smaller age range helps them bond a little more, since there's only a small number of them anyways.
Cool. Any other questions from any of our guests? Excellent. Well, this talk was recorded and will be available on the NAME website. Just another quick question, will you send an email to the kids who don't get in?
Yes, of course.
Okay. And so the talk will be online, and I will put those links that you shared in your slides on our website as well, so people will have a way to get to your website and see your program if they need it. And I would just like to say what an amazing program. You guys have done a lot of work putting a fantastic program together, and I really appreciate you guys spending the time to share it with us. And I'm sure that I echo the thoughts of our guests here. And we're really happy that you were able to spend some time with us today, and hope to see you at the NAME conference, which will be hosted in Alaska sometime in the next couple of years. So hopefully we'll see you there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you guys. All right, I'm going to end the meeting, so I'll say goodbye. And we'll hopefully see everyone in April when we talk about floats.